Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Arkan Times Weekly English News. Today is Sunday, 21st of May. I'm your sister Abir Anwar. Myanmar BGP despises Holy Quran inside mosque. Arkan Times correspondent Mongda. Myanmar border guard police entered a mosque of Rohingya Muslims at Nyang Chang, northern Mongda, and disrespected the Holy Quran inside the mosque on 18th May 2017. According to report, a gang of Myanmar BGP personnel went to Nyang Chang village tract northern Mongda and intruded into the holy mosque, indulged in wine, where they started to despise the Holy Quran by kicking and tearing indiscriminately. Moreover, border guard personnel also broke the table, benches, almirah, and chairs of madrasa to pieces, the religious school, by throwing and hitting the iron rods. It is a common act and manner of Myanmar security forces to disrespect the Holy Quran and Mosque of Muslims in Arkan state of Myanmar, said a villager. The Rohingya residents of the village appealed to Myanmar government through Arkan Times to take legal action against this despising of Quran and mosque, which is a religious persecution according to the international and national law. Mongda court sentences Rohingya women to 6 months jail term for disclosing the truth. 16 May 2017, Arkan Times correspondent Mongda. An innocent Rohingya woman has been sentenced to 6 months jail term by Mongda Magistrate Court for divulging the details of military's cruelties on her husband, including 2 other neighbors who were killed and burned during the crackdown. Video player. According to our correspondent report from Mongda, Abdul Salam from Kaya Gangtang village tract of northern Mongda, along with other 2 neighbors, were shot dead and burned in Abdul Salam's house on 13th of November 2016. While Myanmar's military were conducting clearance operation in Rohingya villages in the area after the 9th October attack on BGP, Abdul Salam's wife, Salma Khatun, unveiled everything to the international delegates and reporters who visited the violence-affected areas, and explained in details about her husband and 2 others who were killed and buried in mass grave by Myanmar army. According to the report, Salma Khatun was targeted since then by Myanmar authority for giving report about her husband's death to the various kinds of delegates. Finally, she has been jailed for 6 months in Mongda Magistrate Court. Sources said most of the Rohingya bereaved families have fled to neighboring Bangladesh and taken shelter in makeshift camp between Cox's Bazar and Teknaf, where human rights group and media visited and interviewed the escapes about the crackdown carried out in Myanmar. The UN rights envoy, Ms. Yang Hee Lee, also visited the areas in Bangladesh where the violence-affected refugees from Myanmar live, and interviewed many victims in refugee camps, and received the authentic reports of atrocities of Myanmar army committed against Rohingya in Myanmar after 9th October. A Rohingya activist says it is an inhumane and cruel manner of Myanmar government that they are jailing the victims of violence and those who express their opinions to people. It is also a threat to Rohingya people to shut up their mouths if any delegates visit the areas. He further says there is still no restriction and have no rights to expression in so-called democratic country Myanmar led by Suu Kyi, where the government punishes the victims for revealing the truth to anybody. Myanmar authorities and Natala push Rohingya in dilemma. Arkan Times correspondent Mongda. Myanmar local authorities held a meeting with villagers of Wabek of Kawarbil to formally inform them regarding their relocation to IDP camps, labeling them as model villagers on 12th May 2017. The meeting was held at 10 a.m. where all kinds of local governmental authorities, including all walk of people, were here present at Kawarbil village tract. During the meeting, the authorities said, "We know that you are in critical situation and we really feel sympathy for you. You can go to your village. We will grant you 200,000 kyats and 0.5 acres of land, and will also manage roads, including other needs for you." Later, the villagers responded that they need neither money nor their aids. They also added that they just need permission to stay in their own ancestral homeland. In response, the authorities repeatedly told the villagers to take some time and try to understand that it will be very good chance for the villagers. After repeated same questions of the authority, the villagers responded with the same answer. Finally, the authorities answered that they cannot allow them living in the original land. The lands where the government has allotted them to relocate concentrated camps, which the government called Model Village, in Wapek, were Rohingyas' agricultural land, which the government handed to the Angtaryar villagers after confiscating for decades from local Rohingya. Moreover, Angtaryar villagers are threatening the villagers not to settle there. If settled, their conspiracy is successful. Now Rohingya are in great fear and limbo, where on one side is the authorities' tortures and the other side is Natala villagers' conspiracy. It is clearly seen that once again Rohingya are scapegoat and are paying the cost for the living in their ancestral land. Woman gang raped, valuables looted by BGP in Hilentien in northern Mongda. Arkan Times correspondent Mongda. At least 2 women and 1 girl were gang raped and valuables looted by Myanmar Border Guard Police and Hilentien forces in Letya village tract of northern Mongda on 18th May 2017 at around 12 a.m. Source said to our correspondent a group of joint forces of Hilentien and BGP went to the house of MV Hashim, a villager, and told to open the door. When the door was not opened willingly, the Hilentien force fired gun shoots to open the door. Then, being afraid of further oppression, the family members opened the door and the forces entered the house, indulged in wine, where they gang raped a newly bride, daughter of Hashim and wife of Hashim's brother, and looted the gold ornaments and other valuables, including cash money. Source adds the women were molested when they refused to do so. The male members fled the house fearing the arrest and torture of BGP before the forces entered the house, where only the females were present, and the forces did whatever they desired in the house. The joint forces left the house after 1 hour of their stay inside the house, a villager said. The next morning they once again came and besieged the house, where they harassed the family members in different forms and left. Moreover, the forces conducted raids in several houses of the village, where they beat the people and molested the women whomever they found before them, and looted away lots of valuables from the house of Rohingya residents. Most of the male members of the families fled the village, where the forces got opportunity to molest and rape the women in the absence of males in the houses. Another report adds the joint forces raided many other villages, where they also looted valuables and assaulted several innocent people. The persecutions Rohingya villagers have recently been increased in northern Mongda, which have become totally unbearable to the poor Rohingya residents, said a teacher. Fishermen detained, extorted money in northern Mongda. Arkan Times correspondent Mongda. At least 13 Rohingya fishermen were arrested and extorted huge money from them by Myanmar army while fishing in shrimp lakes in western side of village on May 15, 2017 at night. A gang of army went to the shrimp lake and arrested the poor fishermen in spite of their having permission from Border Guard Police for catching fish in the lake and river. They were taken to army camp and beaten mercilessly by army in the custody. The next day they were released after taking huge amount of money as ransom. But from among the 13 victims, 3 people were not released, who are taken to Sector 5 in Nayakuya. On the other hand, another 15 fishermen were arrested by army in Yidengchong while fishing in the river with permission from Border Guard Police on 16 May 2017. The fishermen were taken to military camp, where they were severely tortured in the custody. After torture, the victims were released in exchange of huge money the next day. A Rohingya villager said most of the Rohingya villagers live on fishing in the area as there is no other income source. Now they are not allowed to do this, for which they have been suffering from starvation. Although the fishermen take permission from the Border Guard Police in exchange of money, the army arrests them and extorts money in their fateful days. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for watching Arkan Times Weekly English News. For more videos, like and subscribe.